Let's start. Today we move to new topics, which is administer Windows Server hybrid core infrastructure. So hybrid means um, you have both on premises and cloud. So on premises means you have Active Directory or Windows Server installed on your local hardware. Like you have a fixed hardware, uh, you have full control. Sometimes the hardware could be inside the company, and sometimes the hardware could also be at another location, which is called the data center. But you have full control. You pay for the hardware, you buy your own hardware, and you have full control of hardware. Even sometimes the hardware is not in your company, it's at data center, you still have full control. So the data center just provide networking, internet, power, cooling, air conditioning, just provide you physical environment, but you still have full control of your hardware. You could enter your data center 24 hours, 7 days, anytime. And data center could be at a remote location. For example, if your company is in Vancouver, you can have data center in US, you can have data center in Toronto, or you can have data center in another country. And from time to time, you need to visit your data center. I used to do that kind of work, visit the data center in Toronto. You have to you have full control of your hardware. It's your own hardware. So basically, you can also put your server at data center too. So if you want to run your servers, but you don't want to put server at home, you can run the space at data center. You can put your hardware, routers, switches, servers, everything belongs to you. So that's called on-premises. On the other hand, if it's cloud-based, then you don't own any type of hardware. So you use a cloud service provider. So Microsoft Azure, Amazon AWS, any big companies like Google, and there's some other small companies they provide cloud service. So basically you are using their hardware. So you don't own any hardware. So that's cloud based or on premises. So on premises, you own the hardware, but it doesn't necessarily means hardware is in your house. Hardware can be anywhere in the world, but you own the hardware. You have to pay. You have to purchase hardware. You have to install the hardware yourself. Sometimes if you buy a server and you can ship it to the data center, then you have to fly there and you mount the server to the rack yourself. So, but hybrid means you have both on-premises servers and cloud servers. So you have both. So the first is deploy and manage identity infrastructure. So we talk about identity infrastructure, which is mainly for ADDS. We spend lots of time actually on ADDS, Active Directory, right? We created Active Directory, we installed domain controllers, we implemented GPOs. So we spend lots of time. So that's identity infrastructure. Identity infrastructure basically controls your users' credentials like username, password, all these kind of things. So here, then again, we are talking about the hybrid identity in Windows Server. Maybe so. Basically, you have a local on-premises ADDS, and there is cloud-based identity infrastructure. They are synchronized. And then we can talk about deploy and manage Azure IaaS Active Directory domain controllers. So this lab we don't do within the class because we may not be able to sign into Azure, but we'll see. There is actually an Azure for student. So if you could, I think last time some students were trying to do that. There may be a problem, but if you search Azure for students, and you can try to register. But I saw some students couldn't register successfully. So how about everyone do it now? Some already did, right? Like Miyu and John, some students in my previous class, they tried. But for other students, you see, if you search Azure for Students and you find the link, you can see use your school email to sign up and renew yearly while you are a student. Start free, so you can create for free. Oh, you can even renew. I didn't notice that you can renew annually. So okay, so you search Azure for Students, and you see they give you a $100 free credits, and you can click on here, and you start free. So how about you take your time, um, maybe um, you take your time, you must use your school, the school email, and you can finish, try to see if it's available for you. I think some students were able to do that. So let's see. So you send the email. Oh, this is for the code. So you can do, I don't have Microsoft Authenticator app. So I can sign in another way. So I can use a verify. Oh, this is my phone number. Send a text message to my phone. 373-645. So I did register before. So it didn't ask me many questions, but first time you need to supply your information, username. Maybe I can help you. And you see, so I have these amounts of money available. So I have these days, the credit will expire. So this is it's called education now, Azure for Students, but they changed to education. Anyway, so I can help you, but maybe after a break, I will continue. So you can register that. And this is we are going to use as cloud or hybrid. So here is first is hybrid identity in Windows Server. On the cloud, we call it Microsoft Entra ID. And the Entra ID integration means we integrate on cloud Entra ID with ADDS. So on premises, we call it ADDS or Active Directory. On cloud, we call it Entra ID. Before on cloud, they also called Azure Active Directory. I think it's created some confusions. That's why they changed name to Entra ID. I don't even know what it means, Entra. What is this? What is this Entra means? I don't even know why they call this name. Entra. What does this means? Meaning to enter, Entra. Anyway, that's what they call. Um, so this cloud identity infrastructure, we call it Entra ID. And actually, you see, if I log into my Microsoft Azure, I could go to my Entra ID. You could search. I think you can search, and you see there's recent services Microsoft Entra ID, and of course you can search Entra ID, right? You can easily find. You can also browse or just go to Entra ID. So this is how it looks like. So you see Entra ID, and you can manage users. So this is similar like, oh, well, I can see everybody's. Maybe my account is different. is this? I think this was from another class. Why are there so many? 2,000. I don't believe it. Maybe, let me see. Is me is here. I think you registered. That's why I saw you. This is your name, right? Masura? Okay. So yeah, so that's why I think every time I ask the students to try register, your name is showing here. Okay, so how about Tony? Yeah, my name is here too. So this is for identity management. Identity just means username, password. That means identity. And the integration means this identity can integrate with on-premises Active Directory. So although right now they are not, but we could let this integrate with our Active Directory. And of course, we need directory synchronization with Microsoft Entra Connect. If you have your on-premises Active Directory, you can connect your Active Directory to this Entra ID. Then you need a tool. It's called Entra Connect. So you install the Entra Connect on your own server, on-premises server, and your Active Directory can synchronize with this Entra ID. So you will basically, whenever you create a new user, it's going to synchronize to the cloud. So you see the new user in Entra ID. But Entra ID doesn't have OU, doesn't have GPO, so they just like identity. Local on-premises Active Directory is much more powerful. So this is all users, right? So you can have users and you can synchronize with Entra ID. And you can implement single sign-on. So why is this called seamless sign-on? Normally we say single sign-on. Single sign-on means you just sign on once. You just sign on once. Then when you access some other resource, no matter it's on cloud or on premises, you don't have to put username and password because they are integrated. Everything is once you are authenticated, you can access cloud, you can access on premises. You call it single sign-on. You don't need to sign on more than once. And we can enable Entra login for the Entra login for Windows Server virtual machine, infrastructure as a service virtual machine. You could create a virtual machine here too. So if you click all or go home, you can see Azure services. Microsoft Entra ID is one of them. Another one is virtual machine. So you can create a virtual machine. So I created this Windows Server before. Actually, let me delete it because whenever you create a virtual machine, is taking storage space. So that means you are using cloud space, and you are paying money. Okay, if you turn on the machine, you pay for the running for the CPU. But if you shut down the machine, you don't pay the CPU or you don't pay the computer. Just like the benefit is use cloud computing is like a meter, right? Like hydro, for example, if we turn off lights, we don't pay hydro. If you turn off gas, right? If you go home, you turn off lights, turn off gas, then you don't need to pay. Same thing. If you have these virtual machines, if you run all the time, you are paying all the time. So that's why you need to be careful every time I remind students, if you don't use your virtual machine, you need to shut it down. Then free money, you get free money $100, then you can run longer. Otherwise, your money is running out very fast. So you need to be careful, or you need to think of this way. So like my son never turned off the lights in his room. My son even has a computer in my house running 24 hours, 7 days. My son not even in my house. My son is in Toronto, and he put a server in my house and use my internet, use my hydro, and I asked him to pay. He didn't pay. So same thing as cloud, right? So if you don't turn off, you are always paying the money. But if you even turn off the virtual machine, you still pay money, but it's a lot cheaper because you pay for storage. You know, even you see this my virtual machine, even I turn it off, I'm not paying $0. I'm still paying some small money. I don't know how much I'm paying, but I forgot. I mean, but you can always check the bill. But as I said, even you are turning off, you still pay for storage because your server is taking space, right? But it's a lot cheaper. But if you run 24 hours, 7 days, you are constantly paying the CPU computing, then your $100 will run out very quickly. So you need to be you have Azure for students to give you $100 free money. So you need to be mindful. So if you have a virtual machine you don't run, it's better to turn it off. So this is, you can run virtual machine here. So I'm going to delete it. So here you can delete, I can start, stop, delete, right? So I can delete, remove. You can enter delete to confirm, delete. Enter delete. I enter delete, but it still doesn't want let me to delete. Why is that? Let me delete one more time. Apply for delete, enter delete, delete. Delete. Okay, now it allowed me to delete. You can check your bill here. Somewhere you can check your bill. I think they will tell you the somewhere you can go to home. Cost management, maybe. You can see cost management, billing. So let's see how much I paid because I totally forgot I have virtual machine, but I didn't turn it on. Oh, it did say $0. Okay. It didn't charge me anything. November, December, November. Okay. Okay. So that's why, like, I still have a few. Remember, I first log in, it told me I have how much money I left. Let me go back. How much money I left? Student, this one here, right? I have $95 left. Okay. November. Okay, maybe it cost me $4. It says November cost $4. I don't know which this $4 is coming from. But anyway, so be careful when you run virtual machines. And there's a schedule shutdown. So if you forget to shut down, you can set up schedule shutdown. You can say shut it down every day after 9 p.m. Then if you can forget it, right? So then after 9 p.m. it shut down. So you can schedule shutdown. There's untoured domain services. So and we can join a Windows Server VM to untoured domain. You can join your VM on premises to cloud domain. So this is first is Ancho ID integration model. There are some integration model. So the Ancho ID is part of a platform as a service. So if you have learned cloud computing, but cloud computing is not in my course, but I can quickly introduce you. And quickly, there is SaaS. This is a software as a service, and PaaS is a platform as a service, and there's IaaS is infrastructure as a service. So there are three models. So Entra ID is a platform as a service. So virtual machine, virtual machine is the infrastructure as a service. So these are the example. So platform as a service, you can think is Entra ID. Infrastructure as a service is virtual machine. And software as a service is the easiest one. Any type of software you use. For example, your webmail, right? Is a software. This App Educator, Microsoft 365, anything you use as a software is a web browser based. It's a software as a service. Software service is mainly for the users, not for IT people. So if you use, for example, use App Educator, that's a software as a service. If you use Gmail, right? Gmail, this is a software as a service. Is a email. So platform as a service is a platform you can make a development like software development, database, identity management. So here we are focused on identity management. So Entra ID is a platform as a service. And infrastructure as a service basically have full control of the operating system, like a virtual machine is the infrastructure as a service. You are control of operating system. So platform as a service, software as a service, you don't control the operating system. For example, we are using Google Gmail. We don't care about they are running Windows, they are running Linux. We don't know. So we just use their software. We use App Educator. We don't know they are running Windows, whether they are running Linux. We don't care about the operating system. But the same thing as a platform as a service, right? If you use this Entra ID, we don't really care about they are running Windows Server or Linux, or if they are running Windows, are they running Windows 2019, 2016? We don't really know. We don't care. We just use this, right? But if you have virtual machine, then you care because virtual machine is a full virtual machine. When you create a virtual machine, then you have a control. Say, are you running Windows or Linux? Right? You can Linux. What kind of Linux? Ubuntu server, Oracle Linux, Red Hat, Windows Server. Is it Windows Server 2015? So you care about the operating system. You have full control of the operating system. This is exactly the same as a virtual machine running on a laptop, right? You have full control. You can restart. You have to like update. You have to have a license as well. So that's the infrastructure as a service. Now, Entra ID is a platform as a service, offering and operates as a Microsoft managed directory service in the cloud. So we just talked about if you have signed in your Azure for Student, you can find the Microsoft Entra ID, and you can open it to have a look. So this is also his console overview. But mine is called cleaningcollege.com overview. It's a cloud native and hybrid identity. So you can see this dashboard. But I don't see my dashboard. Maybe this is overview. Okay, this is overview. So this is like dashboard overview, like what I have. Okay. And you can control users, groups, devices management. You can see I have users, groups, groups. You can create groups. I can create some, there are some devices, maybe there are some computers joined. And it's using open cloud standard protocols. And there are some advanced security and protection of identity, objects, tokens, logon sessions. So this is a platform as a service. Microsoft Entra ID is a PaaS, platform as a service. Unlike on-premises ADDS, Microsoft Entra ID is multi-tenant by design. So you can have multiple tenants, you can have multiple domains. and is implemented specifically to ensure isolation between its individual directory instances. So you can have multiple directory instances. So basically, if you have multiple directories, so I could switch directories. I have Contoso. Maybe I created Contoso Tony Liu. Maybe I created. You can have multiple directory instances. I think maybe I did some exercise before, so I can switch to Contoso. So let's see if I switch Contoso. This will be go to Microsoft Entra ID. Is it the switch directory? Switch. Sign in failed. Okay. Sign out. Maybe that's why it's no longer valid. Let's see. Sign in. So it's multi-tenant. Basically, you can have multiple tenants. 1, 2, 6, 2, 3, 5. It's multi-tenants. But on-premises ADD has just one domain. But Microsoft Entra ID is multi-tenants by design. It is the world's largest multi-tenant directory, hosting over 1 million directory services instances with billions of authentication requests per week. That's really large. So here is characteristics of Entra ID vs ADDS. So Entra ID has no Kerberos. Kerberos is authentication used by ADDS. There's no LDAP. LDAP is the protocol used by ADDS. There's no group policy. There's no forest and domain. There's no virtual machines. So remember, this is platform as a service. There are no virtual machines. You don't see any like a Windows Server 2019, anything. You just use this. This is the, sorry, not virtual machines. It's Entra ID. Where is Entra ID? It's now here, Entra ID. Here. Manage, so you can see. Instead, the authentication is using OAuth. That's open authentication or open ID, open identity, not Kerberos. The protocol is Microsoft Graph REST API. It's no LDAP. There's no group policy. You can configure conditional access. There's no forest domain. It has federation. And there's no virtual machine. It's redundant platform and a service. So redundant platform and a service. Microsoft offers cloud scale identity and access management via Microsoft Entra ID. So Entra ID is for identity and access management. Sometimes we call it IAS. IAS is one of the security domain. You need to require like specialists to work. Many large companies, they have IAS team called identity and access management. So basically they create users, delete users, assign permissions. So IAS provides several options and extending on-premises ADDS to Azure. So if you have ADDS, it extend your on-premises ADDS to cloud. And synchronizing on-premises ADDS with Entra ID, I just mentioned, you have the on-premises ADDS, and your on-premises ADDS is synchronized with the Entra ID. Synchronizing ADDS with Entra ID by using password hash synchronization. The password can be synchronized as well. So if you have an ADDS user and the password is synchronized to the cloud, to Entra ID, is using password hash, and it implements single sign-on between on-premises ADDS and Entra ID. So you have lots of applications. They are cloud applications or local applications, but user doesn't need to enter password. They just log in once. They can access all the application. Doesn't matter it's cloud-based or local application. So here is a password hash sync. So your local, let's see, where's your local Active Directory? So here, this is the boundary. Okay, this is the boundary. So you have on premises, you have cloud. So this is your Active Directory. And your Active Directory has this software installed called Entry Connect Sync. So this component installed on your local on premises. And this component synchronize password to Entry ID. For example, if user changed his password and the password is synchronized to Entry ID, right? So the user in Entry ID also has password. So if you go to the user and you can see they have, if you create new user, for example, so I don't have a permission to create new user. But if I see, go here, Tony, and edit, I don't have permission to edit. Anyway, so this user also has password, and the password it can sync or can get from this Active Directory. So this is called password hash sync. So when the user log in, they can log into Microsoft 365 and authenticated by the same password as the local Active Directory because password is synchronized. The user doesn't only need to remember one password. Even though the user is logged into cloud, the password is still getting from the Active Directory. This is a password hash sync. Another one is pass-through authentication. This is a lot more complicated. And you see, this is the this is on premises. You see, this is on premises. You have LAN DC1. This is ADDS domain controller. Although we use Seattle one, but this one is using London. LAN means London. This is the different environment. So they have London DC1, London server 1, London server 2, and this is the users. Doesn't matter London or ICA, the same as we set it up. So we have AD users, we have domain controllers, we have servers, and there's Entry Connect application, and there's Entry Connect sync. So again, so when the user log into the so the first is on-premises user accounts are created in ADDS. For example, you create new users in ADDS. Then Entry Connect application installed on the domain joined server on one of the servers, and user accounts password hash synced with Entry ID, and password hash sync enabled. And user authenticated by Entry ID and able to access the application. So 30 minutes default sync time for user groups, 2 minutes for password change. So if people change password, it takes 2 minutes. The password will be synced to Entry ID. So that's for password change. But for anything else, for example, if you create a new user and group, then it takes 30 minutes by default. There's a delay. It won't be instance, right? Because data need to replicate from on-premises to cloud. So password change will take 2 minutes. And for user and group changes, takes 30 minutes. So the Entry Connect sync will get the changes and send to the Entry ID. So sync the user from on-premises. There's all these. It's 30 minutes. Yeah, it's because there's lots of components here. It's otherwise is keep constantly replicating, may have some network performance drawback. but this is the default. You can still change the settings, but most of the time we don't change the settings. But password change is fast. You don't want user to say, oh, I changed the password, why it cannot log in, right? That's why passwords takes 2 minutes, a lot faster. But still takes time, right? 2 minutes is not 1 second. There are different environment. Cloud is a cloud. It takes time, right? So it's not, and sometimes it's far away. You don't even know where the server is. Maybe they are in Toronto. It won't be local, right? So this is another one, federation. So federation, this is a lot even more complicated. So you need on premises, you need additional servers called federation servers. So federation servers will work with cloud. So you have Active Directory, you have Entra Connect Sync. This is identity sync. So these are all the same as the previous one, right? They all have the identity. They all have this connect sync, but they also have federation, authentic federation server, federation proxy. So the user sign in. So the federation is when the user sign in, the user sign in request is redirect into this on-premises Active Directory. So the user is not authenticated on cloud. The user is authenticated within Active Directory. So for example, the user want to access a cloud software, and the user is authenticated within Active Directory. So in order to do that, you need a federation. So previously, this is pass-through authentication. The user still authenticated. So this one, password hash, the user authenticated on Entra ID with the same password because password is synchronized. And with this one, the user is authenticated on Entra ID. And this one, the user is authenticated on Active Directory. So 3 models. So one is a password hash. The user is authenticated on Entra ID. Okay. And this one, so this is cloud user. So cloud user, you see the user is not on premises. The cloud user want to access cloud application, and the cloud is authenticated by Entra ID. So this one, the user is Active Directory user. And the Active Directory user can access cloud application. So this is called pass-through authentication. So the authentication is still authenticated by Entra ID. Okay. But the user is on premises, and they access the cloud application. So this is called pass-through. The user's authentication is passing through to Entra ID. And this one, the user is authenticated by AD, by Active Directory. But the user is access the cloud application, and the user's authentication is redirect to Active Directory. But this one need a federation setup. So 3 models. And there's a decision tree determines, so which authentication you want to use, cloud authentication or federation. Do you want Entra ID to handle sign-in? Yes. Do you want to enforce user level ID security policies? No. Then you use password hash. Do you want Entra ID handle? Yes. Do you want to enforce user level AD? Yes. So this is you answer certain questions to help you decide whether you use password hash sync or pass-through authentication or federation. Okay, so maybe let's take a break. Take a break and um, Let me pause the recording. Can I pause the recording? See how to pause recording. I don't, why it doesn't give me that option. Stop sharing. So I cannot pause. I can stop. Yeah, I'll stop.